There was a time when Starbucks was more than just a place to grab a cup of coffee. It was a lifestyle, a cultural icon of modern urban living. No matter where you were, New York, Milan, Tokyo, Sao Paulo, you could always count on seeing that familiar green sign with the twin-tailed siren offering you a premium-priced cappuccino. But something is going wrong. The American coffee giant, once unstoppable and admired around the globe, is now facing serious challenges. Revenues are slowing, customers are turning away, and the future no longer looks as bright as it once did. So how did we get here? Why is Starbucks, one of the world's most recognized brands, suddenly losing its grip? And what does its decline tell us about branding, overexpansion, and changing consumer behavior? Buckle up, because today we're diving deep into the untold story behind one of the biggest names in global business, and how the very things that made Starbucks successful may now be causing its downfall. The rise of Starbucks. It was never just about coffee. To understand what went wrong, we first need to look at what made Starbucks so successful. The company was founded in Seattle in 1971, but it wasn't until the 1990s under the leadership of Howard Schultz that it truly exploded. Schultz had a simple yet powerful vision. Starbucks wouldn't just sell coffee, it would sell an experience. The aroma, the cozy chairs, the jazz playing in the background, the baristas writing your name on the cup, it was all carefully designed to create a unique atmosphere. Starbucks was selling a feeling, a moment, a sense of belonging. It became a cultural phenomenon, and people loved it. They were willing to pay $5 or more for what was essentially coffee with milk and sugar. But it wasn't just a drink. It was a lifestyle statement. Between 1990 and 2010, Starbucks opened thousands of stores worldwide, entering over 80 countries. Its growth was relentless, and for a while it looked unstoppable. But even as the company was thriving, the seeds of future trouble were quietly being sown. Overexpansion, when more becomes too much. One of Starbucks' biggest strategic missteps was its aggressive expansion. In some cities, you could find multiple Starbucks stores within a single block. At first, this boosted sales. But over time, the stores began to cannibalize each other. One Starbucks was taking customers away from another Starbucks just down the street. This kind of saturation made new locations less profitable. The brand, once perceived as special, started to feel ordinary, even disposable. In 2008, when the global financial crisis hit, the flaws in this strategy became painfully clear. Starbucks was forced to shut down hundreds of locations and lay off thousands of employees. Howard Schultz returned as CEO to save the company, and he did, temporarily. But the crisis had revealed a brutal truth. Starbucks wasn't invincible after all. Premium prices in an age of budgeting. Another major issue Starbucks faces is its pricing strategy. For years, the company positioned itself as a premium brand, and for a time, that worked. But with rising inflation and the cost of living becoming unbearable in many countries, people have started asking a very basic question. Is it really worth spending $6 on a sugary coffee? The competition has also stepped up its game. Independent cafes, local roasters, and small chains are offering higher quality drinks, often for less money and with more personality. Meanwhile, social media has changed what people want from their coffee experiences. Platforms like Instagram and TikTok have created demand for unique, photogenic, and often locally owned spots. Starbucks, with its identical stores and standardized menu, just doesn't feel cool anymore. Employee backlash, trouble from within. But it's not just customers who are unhappy. Many of the people behind the counter have had enough too. In recent years, Starbucks workers across the U.S. have launched protests demanding better pay, reasonable working hours, and the right to form unions. The company's response? In many cases, it hasn't been pretty. There have been reports of union-busting tactics, unfair firings, and a generally hostile attitude toward organizing efforts. This has damaged Starbucks' reputation, especially among younger consumers who care deeply about social justice and workers' rights. And in today's world, a damaged reputation can be much harder to fix than a bad cup of coffee. Starbucks failed in Italy. And that's a big deal. Let's talk about a particularly symbolic failure: Starbucks in Italy. The brand made a splashy entrance into the Italian market in 2018, opening a flagship store in Milan. But despite the fanfare, Starbucks has struggled to grow there. Why? Because Italy is a country where coffee isn't just a drink, it's a ritual. Italians don't sip lattes for hours in comfy chairs. They order an espresso, drink it standing at the bar, pay €1, and move on. To many Italians, the Starbucks model feels overpriced, overcomplicated, and culturally out of sync. A cappuccino with whipped cream and caramel drizzle isn't sophistication, it's sacrilege. This failure highlights a deeper issue. Starbucks struggles to adapt its model to different cultural contexts. Its one-size-fits-all strategy doesn't work everywhere. New consumers, new rules. The modern consumer is nothing like the one who first fell in love with Starbucks. Today's buyers want more than just a famous logo. They want quality, transparency, and authenticity. They care about where the coffee comes from, how employees are treated, and whether a brand's values match their own. They also want convenience. Apps, home brewing machines, and high-end coffee capsules now let people enjoy better coffee at home, without waiting in line or spending $6 every morning. At the same time, new competitors are offering creative alternatives: cold brews, nitrogen-infused coffee, CBD lattes. Starbucks suddenly looks predictable. And in the fast-paced world of consumer trends, predictable is dangerous. When consistency becomes a weakness, Starbucks' global standardization, once its greatest strength, is now turning into a liability. In its heyday, you could walk into any Starbucks in the world and know exactly what to expect. That consistency was comforting, but today it feels repetitive, uninspired. People crave unique experiences, local flavors, personal touches. And Starbucks, with its copy-paste layout and globally identical drinks, is beginning to feel like a relic of the past. In a world that values the niche over the mass-produced, the familiar over the corporate, Starbucks is starting to feel boring. Can Starbucks reinvent itself? Still, not all hope is lost. Starbucks remains a powerhouse brand. It has enormous financial resources, loyal customers, and one of the most recognized logos in the world. The company has started experimenting: luxury stores, localized menus, partnerships with artists and influencers. It's also investing in technology, mobile ordering apps, AI-powered recommendations, even NFTs tied to customer loyalty programs. But these are surface-level changes. The real question is, can Starbucks fundamentally reinvent itself? Can it become relevant again, not just efficient? Because if it can't, it risks becoming another corporate giant that failed to evolve, famous for what it was, not what it is. The bigger lesson: it's not just about coffee. The story of Starbucks isn't just about one company's struggles. It's about the end of a business era. There was a time when having a global brand, a polished logo, and consistent service was enough. But today's consumers expect more. They want real value, real ethics, real connection. They want to support brands that feel human, not massive corporations clinging to outdated models. Starbucks could still make a comeback, but it won't happen by doubling down on what once worked. It will happen only if the company truly listens, adapts, and dares to be different again. Otherwise, it may end up as a cautionary tale, proof that even the biggest brands can fall when they stop evolving. Because in the end, it was never just about the coffee. It was about what the coffee represented. And if that meaning fades, so does the brand.